Move Think Smile specializes in conquering work-related stress, anxiety, fatigue, and the problematic side effects so you can achieve real, lasting peak performance in your career and relationships. This podcast is about answering one question. How can you turn all your burnout into a badass who says no to garbage and enjoys more of what's good so you can finally feel alive again while being a hero at home and work? All this information is 100% free, so please subscribe to and review our podcast.
All right, what's up, superstars? Burnout the Badass Group. It's Adam and Elia here.
Yeah, we looks like we just kind of got kicked off, so we are going to start again. Not sure what happened there with that technical glitch, but we're really excited to have you guys here. So whether you're joining us live or watching this later, I just want to give you a quick reminder because this is a closed group. We need your permission to interact with you and to answer your questions during our live, and you're going to see a link in the post here so that Ecamm will allow us to do that. Just click on the link provided in the post, and we can see what your guys are commenting about.
Yeah, guys, we're using a software, as Ellie said, called Ecamm Live, and it's really important that if you want to interact with us and so we can see you, and because this is a private group with privacy restrictions that we've set on there, we need your permission. So, and we see, yep, Sean Gowden, he's in live. He enabled Ecamm. Thank you so much. So that's like, you only have to do it one time. So once you've approved it, it'll say, hey, Elliot Fosterarm wants you to share Ecamm Live with you. It's cool. Trust me, no information is being shared. We're just able to see your comments and answer your questions.
Yes. And with that being said, we're going to jump right into today's topic, which is the third step out of 7 to end burnout, and that is to get out of your own way. This is a big one.
Yeah, this is really huge. And so many people today, and I'm definitely guilty of this, talk about the importance of grit. You know, grinding it out, being able to make it through crappy conditions, taking the bull by the horns and putting it in your teeth, shaking around until it falls dead, whatever they mean by that. Grit and grinding it out are really good in certain situations. You know, yep. when it comes to like short-term situations, when it comes to having to battle physical fatigue or having to battle a 16-foot wall in a Spartan race, one of my favorites, or having to battle, you know, things like that. But there's an inherent problem, isn't there, Elia?
Yes. Yeah, grinding it out, I mean, endurance, all of that, it actually can become what was your biggest strength, which is being able to endure for a long period of time, now becomes your biggest weakness. Because when you're burning out, grinding it out, pushing harder, working more is the absolute worst advice you could take. It's like punching yourself in the face.
It is. You're punching yourself in the face instead of knocking out the opponent. And here's why. And we've been told, and we're keep being told. In fact, I just watched something yesterday where a very famous person, a guru, you could put on it, on productivity, said he was taught and he believes that the number one skill that you need to become a successful person, and he means like $1 million, $1 billion successful person, big time successful person, entrepreneur, business owner, professional, executive, whatever it is, to be ultra productive and ultra successful is you need this skill, and that is the ability to endure pain over a long period of time. The ability to endure pain over a long period of time. And a lot of people watching this have that. And that's the problem.
Yep, I've done it. It doesn't work.
I've done it too. It doesn't work. And the reason for the problem is because, sure, you look good, you feel like a friggin' warrior because you're enduring all this shit, but the pain is still there. You're not doing something to get rid of it or to turn it into a launching pad for success. So what we're being taught in masses, conventional wisdom, it's what's bullshit. Yes, you need endurance for the short term, right, Elia? But for long term,
yeah, I mean, and again, this is really looking at, like Adam said, the long-term scope of your health, of your productivity, of your vitality. And again, you know, don't get us wrong, we're all about grit. It's like if you're just starting your business or you're just starting that new career or new job, yeah, you want to put 150% into that. You want to like push hard. But again, you can't do that forever. And if you're burning out, it really is, it's like I was saying earlier, it's like trying to run a 15-mile Spartan race with the flu. Like, you're going to get to the starting line, and I'm sorry, I don't know how much you grind it out. If you've got the flu or you don't have the energy, you just pushing forward is actually going to set you back in the long term.
Yeah, here's the truth, and this truth will likely piss a lot of people off. Endurance has become a liability for you. I applaud you. I had the same thing. And when you power through all the emotional stuff, when you just power through and grind it out with grit, it's like, it's going to be better on the other side. The pain is still there. The things causing the turmoil and the chaos are not being fixed. You have not turned them into what they need to be. And so that skill that people are out there telling people you need to have endurance and be able to endure pain for a long period of time, that's not the number one skill you need. Is it a good skill to have? Yes, absolutely. But is that the number one skill you need? No.
Yeah. And what ends up happening is things like, well, we tend to pretend that we're just fine. We fall into this like pretend mode, like I can push through this, I can fake it till I make it. But eventually that all starts to catch up with you. And one thing that we see a lot of is like, you want to go to a social event, but you're actually terrified to go because you actually don't want someone to ask how you're doing because you're not sure you can just say you're fine. Like you feel like if somebody asks you that, you might actually fall apart. And that's not what we want for you. And that's no fun, right? Because you want to go to a social event and you want to feel like you're winning. You want to have good news to share. You want to be vibrant and energetic. And when you're burning out and you're just pushing yourself too hard, it's going to come out, especially oftentimes in very awkward situations when you're at a party.
Now, Ellie, this is interesting. So someone watching right now, Sean, wrote a comment, said, so endure and manage pain. Manage equal make it much less or not a factor at all. No, that's not quite it, because in the next episode, we're going to talk about how coping is killing. Okay, so a bunch more stuff that we've been trained to think is that stress management is the answer, coping with your stuff is the way to make it through, and this will fix the problem. When in reality, coping is actually killing your energy, it's killing your freedom, and it's killing your cash flow. So, Sean, I appreciate the comment there, and maybe you made it in a different way, but if enduring is not about managing. The number one skill that you need to have is to be able to turn the pain that you have into a launching pad for success as fast as you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely there comes that point when you've been managing for too long. And, again, there's a difference between managing for a week or two to push things through, to get things done. And then there's a difference in managing for like years where you don't even recognize yourself anymore. You don't know who you are. You don't know really what you like. Somebody asks you what you like to do or what you do in your spare time, and you're like, I sleep, work, don't sleep. And there's nothing fun there, right?
No, there's not. When you're powering through, like I said, you've got the warrior mentality. It's very admirable because a lot of people can't even power through. A lot of people just buckle, right? A lot of people just buckle under the pain. They buckle. They go and cower inside their house. They run away. They quit their job. They go to a new city. They try to find a new partner. A lot of people buckle. And if you do have that endurance and you are powering through, that really is cool. And you should be happy for that. But that means that you now have the strength to actually, make that your second skill set. You don't have to power through anymore. There are ways to be able to take that crappy stuff that rears its ugly head in front of you, instead of just having to power through it for weeks or months or years, you can actually turn it into something pretty badass pretty fast.
Yeah, so if you've ever felt like you've had to power through or your endurance is actually playing against you, go ahead and type yes in the chat box. And we want to talk a little bit about kind of how this shows up in the day-to-day world. I talked a little bit about this with just, having this tendency to pretend like everything is just fine. A lot of people sort of default to that place. And again, getting out of your own way is deciding to be really honest to yourself about how much pain that you have been enduring, how much you've been stuffing things, how much you've just been putting yourself to the side in order to help other people. But the consequence of that is now you're about to crumble. You haven't, filled your own tanks. And so it's really important to get out of your own way when it comes to really seeing what's going on with you.
So let's step back. So how do you know if you're powering through something? There's a few ways to tell. If you ask yourself, man, I'm tired of whipping up fake smiles, or do I have to whip up another fake smile? That's one way to know. Or if you feel like, if I go to this party, I really hope nobody asks how I'm doing because I don't know if I can pretend anymore.
Yeah.
Right. That's a sure sign of that. Or if when somebody asks, you hope somebody doesn't ask how you're doing because you're going to lie. Because you're seeing everyone around you having like this incredible success and doing these incredible things and having these incredible experiences, and you're not, and you're feeling ashamed. And so you're either not going to answer a question, avoid the question, or you're just going to flat out lie and not tell people, what's going on because it's embarrassing. Right?
Another one I want to add to this list is not noticing what your physical body is trying to tell you. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to who are like, yeah, I was just kind of like not feeling well and kind of having chest pains. And so I went to the doctor because, the ER, because I thought maybe I was having a heart issue. And they told me that I'm having a panic attack because of all the stress that I'm under. And again, they had no clue that this was their body responding to stress in that way. They just thought, well, I must just be having a heart attack.
Yes. And I had one more question I was going to ask, and somehow it just got blown out of the water. Oh yeah, and if you know that you're better than all the turmoil and chaos going on, but you're like really not sure what's happening or how to change things, then you're going to keep powering through.
Yeah.
And powering through just makes things worse. Because what you power through is the pain is still there, and you're actually not fixing it. You're coping with it. Powering through is a coping strategy. Did you just rip?
Sorry, there I just like blew out my headphones.
That was impressive.
I'm sure that was pretty fun to watch. I hope that gave you a smile. Yeah, I mean, like we're saying, when you don't get out of your own way, when you sugarcoat your experience, when you do what's called softening, it's like, it's not that bad, it's not that bad. Sometimes that's a good strategy, but when you're burning out and you really need to fix things, that's not a good strategy because, again, like we keep saying, you're just going to keep bending until you break, and nobody wants to be in that space. We really want to help you guys understand and realize what some of these warning symptoms are so that you can take action before you before you break, like I said.
So one of the phenomenons that we see a lot is what we call the fine phenomenon. Elliot, tell me a little bit about that. I'm just fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we've been weaving throughout the whole thing today, pretending you're fine, pretending at parties, pretending at work. And, it's a default response too that we give people, but we really have to ask ourselves, are we really fine? Are we really where we want to be in our life? Are we really excited when we get up in the morning to tackle our day? Are we really excited to share things with people and what's going on in our life? Are we really proud of what we've produced and how we're being in the world? Are we proud as who we are as a parent, as a spouse, as a sister, as a daughter, a mother? How are we really feeling? And when you're super busy and burning out, you've pretty much just stopped feeling. You've just kind of gone into this robotic state of like, let me just get through this day. Let me just get this done. Same day, same thing, over and over, right? Groundhog's Day.
Yeah. And so let's talk about what powering through actually does, scientifically. And we know powering through causes productivity loss. right? In fact, research shows that, stressed out working people, which is 75% of the people working more than 40 hours a week, 3 out of 4 people, one away from everyone, it takes them 8 hours to maybe get 3 hours of productivity done. It takes 8 hours to get maybe 3 hours of productivity done. And the more that anxiety, fatigue, stress, and burnout are affecting them, that ratio gets a bigger gap in it. And so what happens, Ellie? What do people start doing when their productivity declines?
Well, the fascinating thing is we actually tend to work more and we tend to work harder, and it's just shooting us in the foot. It's so funny because we're like, oh my gosh, I didn't get enough done today. I was like, oh, I should have this and that and that. And so you're like, well, I'll just work later. I'll just get up earlier. And actually, like you were saying, the science of it is that, so many productivity research studies have found that, we have like 8 good hours of work in us. But the more we push ourselves, these 60, 70-hour weeks on a regular basis, we are actually becoming less productive. We make more mistakes. We get ourselves into trouble more. We get into more conflicts at work. We are really operating not from a very unintelligent space.
And here's what happens. So let's say you work 8 hours, you get 2 hours productivity. It takes you 4 hours to be productive for 1. So then you're like, okay, I need to get another hour of productivity, so I'll work another 4 hours. It usually ends up being 30 to 45 minutes, so the ratio goes down, even though you're working more. And of course, what does that cause? Well, that causes fatigue. It causes tough sleeping at night. It causes anxiety. It causes a whole slew of stress and health problems, and swimming in a pool of cortisol.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but like I've said this before, and I want to keep saying it, which is that whenever I notice that I'm really tired and fatigued and run down, every insecurity I've ever had comes rearing its head. And it's like I feel powerless to stop it. And I realize, oh my God, I've got to get some rest. I've got to replenish. I've got to get myself back in check. And that's my big warning sign. Yeah.
So the moral here is, doubling up in your hours does not make you more productive, creative or successful.
Yeah.
If you're powering through, it's really making things worse.
Yeah. Yeah. And the big thing here too is, we keep talking about what not to do. And here's another thing, don't stay silent. Don't isolate yourself. And stress, burnout, anxiety, especially anxiety, makes you want to just sort of crawl into a cave and disappear. And I smile at that a little bit because, I know it sucks. I've felt it. And I also know when I get out of it, like how silly I think it was, or how I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I was so affected by that moment. But it's so important to reach out because the anxiety will make you want to stay isolated. It will make you want to, not tell anyone. And actually, when you start to voice it, it starts to dissipate.
Okay. So if you keep powering through, what are the costs if you keep with the endurance mentality?
Well, some of the costs, of course, are you start having all sorts of health issues and you're going to the doctors and you're having the anxiety, you're having depression. You're more than likely going to end up having to face a big question about whether you want to take medications or not. You might have been powering through all this with herbal supplements and they're not working, but you kind of get to the point where you might have to go on meds. And you've got to make a big decision about that. Or
if you're like me, you power through bacon and beer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, that wasn't a good scenario.
Yeah. And, again, usually we're going to end up being faced with decisions that we didn't really want to make, but because we didn't take action sooner, we're now stuck in a position where, all right, now you're faced with 2 decisions and you might not like either one at the moment.
So what are some of the mistakes people are making?
Well, the big mistake is again, really just following this whole endurance and power through and really not being honest with where they are now. This is, again, why we say get out of your own way, getting really real with how long you've been battling with this and how long you felt depleted, not felt like yourself, and really realizing that you're just like craving this sense of being your powerful self again. You want to be productive. You want to be winning again. You want your cash flow to get better. You want more free time. You want to take those vacations. You want to have the time to make the impact that you want. I mean, all of these things are in you and you feel them calling to you, but you can't take action from where you are there. It's like you can't get there from where you are.
Right. So mistakes include worrying about judgment from others.
Yeah, worrying about judgment. That's a good one. Yes.
Letting your mind drum up all sorts of negative crap about what you think this means. You know, like strong enough, I'm not a good business owner, I'm not disciplined enough, I'm weak, so I just need to power through. I just need to grind it out.
Yeah.
That's a mistake. Pushing through because you've done that for the last 5 years, which is basically a habit that you've created. So up in your old noggin here, your brain has got a neural pathway that is actually easy to follow. So it's like, hey, we did that yesterday and it doesn't take me much energy to do that again today. So let's just keep doing the same thing.
Yeah. And like I was saying before earlier, I mean, it's really focusing only on how to get out of the pain and not reminding yourself where it is that you really want to be going and what you want your life to look like.
Yeah. Another giant mistake I've seen people make is pretending like a panic attack is no big deal.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, I have a heart attack. Yeah. Go to the hospital. It's like, oh God, I'm out of the hospital. It's no big deal. I'm cool now. It's like, no. Do you know why that happened? Do you realize that it might be your endurance that are causing the chest pains? Or it's your endurance that might be causing the hair loss or the dizziness or the migraine headaches with vision loss?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and
that's downplaying, softening your pain, kind of smoothing over it. You know, don't worry about me, I'm fine. You know, sometimes it's kind of a little bit of martyrdom behavior, but sometimes it's also just we don't want to see what's really happening to us, or we don't want to worry our loved ones, right? We don't want them to be concerned. So we just say, everything's fine, I'm fine.
Well, that's where powering through comes from. It's like, hey, I'm the strong guy, I'm the provider for the family, I'm going to be fine, I can make it through this. You know, those guys are having, everything will be okay. And you'll keep bending until you break.
Yeah.
And trust me, you don't want to break. We broke.
Yeah.
And it sucks big time. And it's scary. It's life-threatening. And you might come back once you break. You might come back. So guys, there are some things that you really don't want to do, right? Mm-hmm. You don't want to end up at the doctor's office. And if you do end up at the doctor's office, because 80% of doctor's visits are due to stress-related illnesses, anxiety, fatigue, anger, all that stuff, right? 80% of doctor's visits.
That is shocking, and that is a huge wake-up call.
No, so 75% of the workforce is burning out. That includes mostly white-collar jobs, people, you know, all over we're working more than 40 hours a week, right? And now 80% of doctor's visits are due to stress. The top 6 leading causes of death are all burnout related, and it's like, whoa. No wonder our health insurance is off the charts. No wonder we can only get a deductible of $10,000. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what not to do? You know, don't leave the doctor's office and think, oh, it's only a little bit of stress, so it's no big deal. It's a big deal. Don't fool yourself and stay silent and isolated.
Yep.
Don't think you can conquer this on your own. If you could, you would have done it decades ago. And do understand that we've been taught, the conventional wisdom we've been taught, especially from the corporations, especially from the corporate world. Because I remember when I was in a cube, they're like, you know, you really should go see HR, you know, and talk about stress management. Or maybe you should go down to the campus gym and get some exercise. I was just talking to someone yesterday, and she was like, you know, I would love to go do all the things I do again. I'm like, how do you get your exercise? Well, they've got a really nice gym here on campus where I work, and, you know, I go over there and I get my exercise. I'm like, are you enjoying that? No, not really, but I'm managing and I'm handling all my burnout. I'm like, do you want to handle your burnout, or do you want to conquer your burnout? She's like, I want to conquer my burnout.
Yeah, that is a huge difference.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing for years. I was just kind of coping, I was managing. And then I got so tired of spending all of my free time just trying to manage my own stress so I could go back and work another ridiculous amount of hours. It was just like, where's my fun time? Where's Elliot? Where are all the great things that I want to do? Where is my badass self? Where is that part of me that really knows that I can conquer anything and knows that I will always find a way and knows that I can be so resourceful and that I wasn't put here to just manage my stress, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's really important, you guys, like we said, to reach out, not stay isolated. Really why we created this group is, so you can be around people who understand where you've been. It's so key because otherwise you'll just isolate yourself and you'll kind of think that like you're the only one that's experiencing this. So you're just going to stay quiet. And that is 100% not the case.
Okay. So Elliot, let's talk about what other people are doing wrong, what other approaches aren't working.
Well, we talked a lot about the big one, which is just, enduring, and kind of grit and grind it through. Another one, is, it sounds actually kind of completely contradictory, but encouraging you to exercise too much. So when you're really burning out and you don't have a lot of energy and you start hammering out a lot of exercise, like some people say, okay, to deal with my stress, I'm going to work out twice a day instead of once a day. And there's kind of like this intensity that goes with it. You are just wearing yourself down. So that's one that I hear sometimes that I think is, again, not a great solution.
Okay. So let's flip this a little bit. What happens when you do, or let's say what happens when you stop powering through and you master the skill of being able to turn pain into success as fast as you can. So endurance isn't even needed.
Mm-hmm.
What happens then?
Well, you get like an insane rush of energy. You get this insane clarity of like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this the hard way. And suddenly you're just like across the bridge and you're like, I know where I need to go. I know what I need to be doing. And I have the energy to get there, which is so key. Because again, when you're tired, anxious, burning out, it's like, you're like, I don't have the energy to even go for my dreams.
Well, what really happens is that when you master that skill, anxiety, overwhelm, depression, fatigue, they vanish.
Yeah.
They vanish.
They do vanish.
You become a rock star. You become a badass with a mental motorcycle jacket who says no to garbage and enjoys more of what's good.
Yeah. And you are so thankful. You are so thankful that you have created something incredible from that experience.
And what happens when your anxiety and fatigue vanish?
Well, you become an unstoppable badass.
Well, yeah, but let's chuck it down a little bit. You're sleeping better at night.
Yes, you're sleeping better.
You're not worrying about stuff. You're able to unplug when you come home from work.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're able to spend, instead of coming home and trying to connect with your family because money is tight and it's always tight, right? You're actually able to connect with your family. Your mojo starts coming back, right? So
yeah.
Basically, you're able to achieve peak performance with your freedom, right? You're able to start doing the things you want to do. You're not tied to the campus gym to get your exercise. You can go out there and start doing the cool things you like doing again, like swimming or horseback riding, sailing, kiteboarding, whatever floats your boat there, right? You're able to get out there and travel to those places that you see others posting online, instead of asking how that dude get an RV to travel around for a year, it becomes you. So you achieve peak performance with your freedom. You achieve peak performance with your energy, right? Your energy is going out the roof. And when your energy goes out the roof, oh man, all kinds of things happen there.
Yeah. And I mean, the big thing, like we were talking about with productivity is like, you are really, I mean, I know it sounds a little cliche, but you really are working smarter and not harder. You're getting more done in less amount of time. You're not, again, like spending 8 hours to do like what should have taken you 1 when you were feeling well and had the energy. And that is huge.
Got freedom.
Yeah.
That leads to better energy. And as LA just kind of put it in a more detailed fashion, that leads to more productivity, creativity, and that usually increases your cash flow, right? Yeah. So that's why we're all about in this group taking burnout to badass and turning anxiety and fatigue so you can achieve peak performance and increase your freedom, energy, and cash flow.
100%. And they're all intertwined. They really are.
So, Elia, what else do we have to...
Well, guys, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Again, if you're really resonating with what we're saying, if you've been, if you are in this space that we're describing, we've been there, we know it, we understand you, we get you. We want to encourage you that if you're inspired and you're like, I'm ready to change things, I'm ready to stop suffering and to really start enjoying my life again, we invite you to book a call with us. You can just go to movethinksmile.com/talk. You can let us know, all the things that haven't been working, what has worked, and then of course, we can really help you redefine and figure out how you can get your work-life balance back. And of course, the result of that is energy, freedom, cash flow, peak performance, and being able to go to the parties, being able to socialize, being able to do the things you love to do, sharing all sorts of awesome stuff because you feel great and you've gotten out of your own way.
Yeah, guys, if you want to go to the next social event and you want people to ask how you're doing so you can honestly tell them things are badass. If you want to be so productive and cheerful, others are suspicious.
Yeah.
But you've just been powering through. You've been powering through. You've got badass endurance, but those problems are still there. Then yes, please book a call with us. movethinksmile.com/talk. We'll get on the phone. It's a free call. We're going to get crystal clear on 3 things. The truth and uncover what is really causing all your anxiety, fatigue, stress, and burnout. What your life is going to be like when you get rid of that crap. And a clear path to get there. And then we can talk about whether or not we're a good fit to work together or not. But this is a call about you. This is a call about getting you and helping you find the right strategy to get you from a sucky place and turn your burnout into something badass and amazing.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And so if you've gotten anything out of today's live, if something we said just really hit home for you, then type that into the chat box. Write that out so that if people are just sort of scrolling through, there's a distinction that you want to make that you learned today. It will be really great for people to see that. Be like, oh, wow, that just maybe changed someone's day, just having the opportunity to see what you posted. And as far as our lives for next week, of course, Thanksgiving holiday is coming up. We will probably not be live next week. We are going to be traveling, but we are wishing you an amazing Thanksgiving holiday. And of course, we're so excited. We will still be in the Facebook group. If you have any questions, also feel free to private message us. If there's something really personal that you don't really want to share in the group, again, feel free to reach out to us personally.
And we may appear next week with a secret top live, and you just may not know about it. Got some ideas brewing. Just because it's a holiday doesn't mean burnout goes away. Just because it's a holiday doesn't mean stress goes away. Usually during holidays, yeah, right? Things get accentuated. And be careful, guys. Try not to cope too much next week. Yeah, it's very easy to fall into the turkey trap. It's very easy to fall into the cider trap. It's very easy to fall into all that stuff. And stay tuned because our next episode is going to be all about coping is killing. Now, if you're watching this replay after we have done this exclusive content in our Facebook group, Burnout to Badass, please come join us in our Facebook group, Burnout to Badass. It's really easy to find. If you're listening to this podcast or watching this on YouTube, you guys come on over to the group. There's a lot of great stuff going on in here. And until then, we'll see you next time.
All right, guys, take excellent care of yourselves.
Thanks for tuning in to today's Burnout to Badass show. If you like what you heard and you're interested in seeing if you're fit to work with Move, Think, Smile, here's what I want you to do next. Head over to movethinksmile.com/talk. That's movethinksmile.com/talk and book an appointment to speak to our team. We'll get on the phone with you for about 45 minutes and get crystal clear on 3 things. Number 1, what exactly is burning you out? Number 2, exactly what your inner badass would rather be doing. And number 3, the exact strategy for you to feel alive again and start kicking ass at home and work. Remember, conquering anything difficult alone is crazy. Creating extraordinary change in your life does not happen by itself. You need expert guidance to make it happen, a team to pick you up when you want to quit and actually get you to the finish line. We've helped clients all over the world turn their burnout into a badass with a mental motorcycle jacket who says no to garbage and enjoys more of what's good, so they can finally feel alive again, unplug from work without sacrificing their career, with enough energy and free time to have incredible adventures with people they love. To see if we can help you do the same, head on over to movethinksmile.com/talk. I'm Adam Von Enns, co-founder, Move, Think, Smile, and recovering stress addict. Talk soon.